This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
By popular demand, Place to Be Nation Wrestling returns to the Dirty South for Talk'n WCW, an episodic wrestler showcase designed to educate, evaluate, and entertain, with matches spanning the intimate stage of Techwood Studios to the heights of Space Mountain. Talk'n WCW presents the best, worst, and most surreal offerings from World Championship Wrestling. So cast your gaze to the Turnertron with hosts Jennifer Smith, Tim Capel, and Greg Phillips.
Hi, welcome to Talk'n WCW. My name is Jennifer Smith. I'm here with one of my co-hosts, the battle to my bowl, Tim Capel. How you doing?
Wow. I'm glad I'm not the battle to your bowel.
Yeah. We'll see.
Allegedly something we may be hearing more about tonight. But
I think so.
Yes, as always, thank you for letting me play second fiddle. It means a lot. To ride your coattails, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
I sense your sarcasm there, Tim.
There's actually
I appreciate it.
I always just sound sarcastic even when I'm trying not to be.
You just can't help it.
Yeah, you have Norm Macdonald syndrome where everything you say sounds like you're joking even if you're not.
Yeah, that is actually a real problem. That could be a whole discussion, but we don't have time for that. I am genuinely appreciative is what I'm saying.
Well, we'll see. We'll see by the end of the night if you still feel the same.
Episode, right?
Yeah. Greg Phillips, how you doing?
I am doing well. I'm glad that you guys played the Lethal Lottery and chose me and I was selected out of the Tumbler by Missy Hyatt as your tag team partner. Mm-hmm. That's very happy. But I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm here to talk about the real reason we're all here today for this episode of Talk'n WCW, which is Battle Bowel, the urethral lottery.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Folks, if you couldn't tell, I've been sitting on that for a month.
Yeah.
So
that's the reason you chose this, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. It certainly wasn't the match quality.
Question number one, why did you choose this,
right.
Greg Phillips?
Well, it's very simple. I wanted to get in that pun. And then number two, I the reason I selected this is I feel it's important for our show to sort of cover the scope and the range of WCW. WCW was many things to many people, and that entails both good and bad. And we've covered much of the great, which is what I mostly want to cover on the show because people crap on WCW enough. But I also think it's important to explore the things that make WCW unique. Things like war games, things like World War III, which we haven't done yet, but things like the Cruiserweight division. But one of the things that we haven't spotlighted yet is Battle Bowl. And I think for better or worse, and we'll talk about that through the course of the show, Battle Bowl is a uniquely WCW concept. I don't think anyone else has done it. Certainly not done it this exact way with the quote, randomly drawn tag teams and the two-ring battle royal format. Certainly very unique and very WCW. So that's why I selected this. WCW never really developed its counter to the Royal Rumble. Maybe World War III was that later on. But this was sort of the initial attempt to sort of match whatever it was the WWF had been doing with the Royal Rumble. We'll talk about whether it was successful or not over the course of this television, radio, podcasting program.
In theory, this sounds like really cool. And I think that's what most people have said about it. The randomly drawn tag matches, I think that's a pretty cool idea because you get all this stuff that you normally wouldn't see put together, guys you normally wouldn't or whatever. And then the two rings, that I'm kind of into that too. So the concept seems very, like you said, WCW and possibly fun.
I like that you didn't launch into a defense of Battle Bowl as Well, this is actually really good, and people just don't realize
The
that
genius.
it was one of the better things that they did. Like, I like that's solid logic on your part that it is uniquely WCW for better or worse, and we never said when we started this show that we were going to look at the best and brightest
Yeah.
of WCW each and every outing. Like it is WCW warts and all, and we have done thematic concept shows before. We did War Games, which which people have a much higher appraisal of, and now we're getting to Battle Bow, which has never been duplicated, never been reproduced in any other promotion. And you're not sitting here trying to say, well, you should really give it another look. It deserves a second.
I mean,
shake,
where else
but-
are you going to find Bill Kazmaier and Jushin Thunder Liger as a tag team?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I feel like it's kind of, we sort of have a responsibility to do this. So
Yeah.
in a way, you're kind of falling on the sword, and that's a solid defense there that you.
Thank you.
put out there.
And if I'm not mistaken, this was a Dusty idea. Dusty threw out so many
Had
great
to be.
great ideas.
So-
Whether he had great ideas, War Games, things of that nature, and then he had Battle Bowl, things of that nature. So they can't all be home runs. We're gonna have listen, baby. We're gonna have a bunch of randomly drawn tag teams like Tex Slazenger and Sting versus Big Van Vader and Richard Morton, and then
Richard
we're
Morton,
gonna have them fight over the course of a show, and then at the end of the night, baby, we're gonna put them in a battle royal. But you don't win by throwing your opponent over the top rope. You win by throwing your opponent over the top rope to the apron. Then he rolls himself into the other ring, and then you wait on him to beat all his other opponents to come back, and then they fight you, and then you knock him or he knocks you over the top rope, baby. And the winner gets nothing.
God, the winner gets nothing. There is
that was
so
beautiful.
much. I have so many issues.
Yes.
So wait, to back up just a second, this is a concept that we will. The rules are simple,
Simple.
but actually quite
Quite
complex.
complex.
It's sort of a.
How inside is that inside joke?
It's-
I love it.
Well, we
so
make it every
inside.
time. I feel like we always
Yeah,
find a
we
way to work it in, but
I love it.
it just reminds me of, okay, so take the unpredictability of the Royal Rumble and the tag team extravaganza of a Survivor Series and mash them up, okay, into this new concept, which will have a tag team component and a battle royal component. And really, it felt more like, I think, smearing feces together, unfortunately, in execution.
Which, and you know what else it has in common with that? Richard Morton.
Yes, it does. Smearing feces once again, yes.
All right. Well,
Wow.
let's get started with our picks then and get into this shit.
All right.
I know we usually go chronologically, so first up would be my pick. It is from Starrcade 1991. It is the Battle Royal from December 29th, 1991 in Norfolk, Virginia. And
from the Norfolk scope.
The Norfolk scope.
That's
in
actually how you're
Norfolk,
supposed to say that.
Virginia. Yes, I almost did,
boy.
actually.
Very interesting arena or venue, the Norfolk scope. I always, from the outside, it looks very bizarre. From the inside, it also has, like, right away you're looking at, okay, that's the Norfolk scope. You see that ceiling, and I don't know. It's always been a pretty striking venue. It's near and dear, close to my heart. Closer to Nate Milton's heart, I know. But I've never seen any events there, but I've driven by it many times, so that's kind of the same thing.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
what did you see there, Tim? Tim,
Yeah.
like, nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah, not a thing. But
You were ahead of the curve going to empty arena matches.
Yeah,
exactly.
sure were.
All right, so we should try to explain what exactly this entails, because I think there are people who have never seen a battle bowel and urethral lottery. So
Yeah.
what we're doing is we're taking 40 men who are going to form tag teams. So that gives you 20 tag teams, right? Total.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
10 matches.
Yep.
And the winners will advance to the Battle Royal at the end of the night. So you're going to have a total of 20 men from these 10 tag teams that win and advance in their matches. And as Greg, or as Dusty so expertly put it, they are fighting for, not really anything.
Like a ring or something? Don't they get a ring?
That didn't come until later.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
That was a little retcon that we'll be seeing in our next match, I guess. But or next selection, I should say. But that's the concept. Is you're gonna put all these names in a tumbler. You're gonna have Missy Hyatt. You're gonna have Larry Zbyszko. You're gonna have whoever it is presenting and making a big production out of who are the teams. Totally randomized. This is an important component. I understand in the inaugural urethral lottery, in true WCW fashion, it really was random selection.
Really?
That's what I've been told. I kind of, it's one of those things like, do you really believe it? Like, is it just they're working people when they say that? But
I kind of believe it.
Well, you know what? Before we get into the Battle Royal, let's test that theory, because I've got pulled up right now the tag teams from the initial Lethal Lottery, and let's see if we think these are these could be worked or if these could be real. All right.
So this is from Starrcade '91. This match we're gonna be talking about.
So the tag teams are Marcus Bagwell and Jimmy Garvin.
That could very well be totally random.
Defeated Michael P.S. Hayes and Tracy Smothers. Now, you have the Freebirds on opposite sides, which makes me think that the matchup at the least was worked, even if the tag team was not. But Michael Hayes and Tracy Smothers, both Southern, both rednecks, possibly both racist. I don't know.
Sure.
But what do you think?
I could buy the team being randomized, but they're still gonna, once they have their teams arranged, I mean, they still have to book the damn thing, right? I mean, you still have to program this with whatever you come up with. So
now here's our first really hard to believe that it's real one. Steve Austin and Rick Rude defeated Van Hammer and Big Josh. Now, as we all know, Van Hammer and Big Josh were part of a stable, and Steve Austin and Rick Rude were also a part of the Dangerous Alliance. So that one, I don't know that was legit or not, but maybe. Now we start to get into some weird ones, guys. Dustin Rhodes and Richard Morton defeated Larry Zbyszko and Elegante with Medusa.
Oh my god!
What would Larry say in response to being paired with Elegante here?
I don't know. I have to hear what you think Larry would say.
Hey, what do you mean? You're this 8-foot tall Argentine monster? What are we doing here? That's just Bobcat Goldthwait, by the way. I don't
sounds
have,
like your Bobcat.
I don't have a Larry Zbyszko.
You do now.
It is kind of what he sounds like.
Oh my God. The aforementioned tag team combination of Bill Kazmaier and Jushin Thunder Liger defeated. Now this one makes me think it has to be real. These two matchups have to be real. Defeated Diamond Dallas Page and Mike Graham.
Oh my God.
Mike Graham, who presumably was bobbling his head all the way to the ring. Yep. Never drew a dime.
Bill Kazmaier never drew a dime.
Jushin Thunder Liger broke 1,000 horns, never drew a dime. I should make fun of him dead. But anyway, Lex Luger and Arn Anderson with Harley Race defeated Terrence Taylor and the Z-Man.
We have a real influx of York Foundation throughout
this. This was hype. This makes me wish that my longtime fan scenario, guys, of the entire WCW roster becoming the York Foundation had come true.
You You
I mean,
know, when I watched this show, I didn't watch the whole show. I just watched the Battle Royal, and I felt kind of bad. Like maybe I should go back and watch this. Now I'm glad that I did not
Oh,
watch it.
well,
Jenny, let me just tell you, I mean, we're halfway through just laying out the matches themselves. This is the one WCW pay-per-view I have long refused to ever watch. I won't do it. Like,
funny
back in
story
the,
about that.
honestly, back in the Survey Says podcast days, when we did a retrospective of all of the Starcades, I just didn't watch this one. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't care. I don't care what any of the matches are. I don't care what any of the results are.
I
We're
love
just,
it. I'm so glad I picked a match from it. I didn't know that.
yeah, this is the one show I will never watch. Like, I've seen like maybe 3 matches from the show. When I heard what the Battle Bowl concept was, I was like, wow, that sounds kind of messed up. And they literally devoted an entire pay-per-view to it, a Starcade, no less.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to check this out. And nope, I got 3-4 matches in and was like, I ain't doing this for 10 matches.
Contrarily, let me take you back to December 1991. I am 7 years old. I am divorced. No, I'm 7 years old.
Very good.
I'm living in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
And the Battle Bowl concept to a 7-year-old kid in 1991 sounded like the coolest thing in the world. All these guys who hate each other are going to have to tag up with each other. How great is that going to be? Good guys and bad guys teaming up. And then at the end, they have a big battle royal. So I tried all day to remember whether I convinced my grandparents because I was staying with them during Christmas time, whether I convinced them to order this pay-per-view for me, and I think I might have, or if I just watched it weeks later on VHS whenever that came out. But nonetheless, I was stoked for this show, and then I watched it. But I was still stoked about something else that we'll talk about in a minute. Anyway, the tag team pairings continue. Ricky Steamboat and Todd Champion.
Male jobber Todd Champion, I believe.
Defeated. I'm going to say more about this guy a little bit. Defeated Cactus Jack and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker.
Yeah.
Those could be legitimate. Sting and Abdullah the Butcher. They had a little bit of a rivalry, so maybe not legitimate. I don't know.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Defeated Brian Pillman and Bobby Eaton of the Dangerous Alliance. Big Van Vader and Mr. Hughes. Could go either way on that one. Defeated Rick Steiner and the Night Stalker. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Night Stalker, let me highlight over his name, indeed was Adam Baum, a.k.a. Brian Clark, a.k.a. Wrath. We will revisit him at a certain time, perhaps in the future, or not. Scott Steiner and Firebreaker Chip.
Lord.
Defeated Arachnaman and Johnny B. Bad.
Arachnaman, one of the many faces of Brad Armstrong.
The goddamn Candyman. Ron Simmons, or as he should have been known, Ronald Simmons, as a member of the York Foundation, and Thomas Rich defeated Steve Armstrong and PN News. Steve Armstrong and PN News, there's a team. Yeah. So those are our tag teams. As I look through these, I think most of these probably were legitimately drawn.
I think so too.
I think they took 20 out of the 40 names.
Yeah.
And mashed them up. Like some of them, you could tell they were like, okay, we want the face and the heel who have been feuding or have some kind of history to be on a team, so we're going to go ahead and make that team. But I think about half of them, they just said, fuck it. It doesn't matter.
I mean, who really cares who Firebreaker Chip teams up with?
Yeah, especially some of these teams that aren't going to advance. I mean, what do they give a shit?
Right.
So,
why in the name of all that's holy? I had almost washed from my mind the tag team of the Champions, or the Patriots, I'm sorry, which was Todd Champion, and who's just completely generic. There's nothing stand out about him at all. And Firebreaker Chip, what stands out about him is the fact that he vaguely resembles the member of the Dukes of Hazzard that was not John Schneider.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What was that guy's name? I don't know. The guy that played the other Duke. Good thing there's not a thing called the internet that I can pull up right now.
I know.
And I'm sure people are really excited to hear about this at home. But nonetheless,
you're right.
He looks just like Tom Wopat is the guy's name.
Yes, that's his name.
He looks like Tom Wopat. But besides that, his name is Firebreaker Chip. What the hell is a firebreaker?
No one knows.
And then at one point during the match, Tony calls him Chip the Firebreaker.
Yeah, he does.
Which sounds like a cool comic book name, actually. Hey, there's Chip the Firebreaker.
I mean, it's
Dudley.
Dudley, yeah, make him one of the Dudleys. It's
Fire
1991 WCW. It's Big Josh. It's Oz, right? Great and powerful.
Yeah.
It's God, the York Foundation, of course. Arachnaman. Elegante. It's the Candyman, the goddamn Candyman.
Goddamn Candyman.
Had we done the Ding Dongs yet?
That already happened. The Ding Dongs happened in '89. I think the Ho Hos were '91.
Okay, yeah, I knew there was a ridiculous tag team.
Yeah, but
man, you had Van Hammer, I think, debuting in '91 as well, right?
Van Hammer, heavy metal Van Hammer.
Johnny B. Bad, right?
Yep,
I mean,
Black Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Was also '91.
Yeah, it was a year for characters in WCW.
Watching Gary Michael Capetta announce these guys walking to the ring.
I love it.
He had his work cut out for him.
Yes, it was a cornucopia of who the hell are these people amidst big stars. It was like, and ladies and gentlemen, Ravishing Rick Rude, Firebreaker Chip.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Bill Kazmaier.
Bill Kazmaier, the strongest human being who has ever lived. Bill Kazmaier.
Tud Champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is from the Orient. Jushin Thunder Liger. Richard Morton.
We just.
I was going to read the names, but I like it this way better.
Yeah. Well, they all make such an
man
impact.
from the Sudan, Abdullah the Butcher. Legend wrestler, by the way.
Mm.
Oh, he had quite the showing in this match.
He sure did.
He sure did.
He resembled me when I'm on my couch. I just don't feel like getting up.
Yes, this will be me tomorrow.
I think I'll just sit here and bleed. Sex Ferguson has a great song, folks. If you go on YouTube and type in Sex Ferguson Abdullah the Butcher song, I think you'll be pleased with what you find.
I like it.
Noted. So, okay. In the beginning, I'm immediately drawn to Arn Anderson, of course, in Steamboat because they're fighting on the ramp side, which, as pointed out in commentary, that's probably the side you need to stay on because
there's no advantage to actually.
All right, wait. I'm sorry. From Maximum Convolution, we have to point out this is a double elimination battle royal. So we've got two rings. You can't just throw someone over the top rope. Traditional battle royal elimination style. You have to throw them from ring 1 over the top rope into ring 2. Although they clarify as the match progresses, you don't have to actually
do that.
If this was 10 years later, Jim Ross, because you can hear it on commentary during the course of the match, he gets frustrated because the announcers themselves weren't informed of the rules of this match. If it had been 1998 or later, Jim Ross would have lost his mind on commentary. He would have said, you know what would be nice is if we knew the goddamn rules to this match. Now, I've been sitting here. Is it over the top? Is it under the top? Is it through the ring? Is it into the ring too? There's his fat ass just rolling in there. What in the hell is happening here? Poor Tony, he's trying to keep it on track as best he can. He doesn't know the rules either. Well, Jim, I guess he's not eliminated.
That's all Tony has.
What I grasp, it's an over the top rope elimination style battle royal where you can only be eliminated from one side of the ring for your first elimination.
Yes.
Essentially what it comes
apron,
down to.
You have to roll into ring 2.
Right.
Which they clarified earlier, because earlier in the match, they made it sound like you had to physically throw your opponent from one ring into the other, which would have been awesome.
That's
and which would have
impressive.
led to an easy win for Scott Steiner in this match.
That's a feat.
Well,
Right?
Mr. Hughes does that at one
That's
point.
true.
Mhm.
That's true.
Several of them
I mean,
do that.
Vader's in
Yeah.
here. He could do that.
Vader.
Yeah, he could do that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But Scott, I'm just picturing Scott Steiner throwing suplexes from one ring to the other, and
Shit.
I wish it had happened.
Oh
But,
man. But to be clear, you can go over the top rope, land between the rings. That's fine, as long as you go over the top rope only on that one side. If you go over the top rope on any other side, it just doesn't count. You get back in. Like,
do you guys think that somewhere in upstate New York, a young Vince Russo was watching this match and taking notes for his later run in TNA?
I hope so.
What if we did a battle royal, but in reverse?
In reverse. You have to get into the ring, bro. That's the goal. You throw your opponent into the ring. Then you go to a penalty box, bro.
Honestly, that is stupid, but makes more sense than the rules of this match.
Yeah.
What about the King of the Mountain match, which was a reverse ladder match?
Oh man.
Where you win it by climbing
Holy
the ladder.
shit, I need to watch that.
And yes, Jenny, you win this match. This is a brief TNA diversion from your resident TNA expert, Greg.
Yeah. Thanks,
You
Greg.
have to climb the ladder. Well, first of all, okay, so you have to pin. So the King of the Mountain match has like 6 or 7 guys in it. In order to qualify to win the match, you have to first pin one of your opponents. So let's say just this would never happen, of course. Let's say Jeff Jarrett was in one of these matches. And let's say that Jeff Jarrett was wrestling against, I don't know, Abyss in one of these matches. Not that this would happen. If Jeff Jarrett wants to win the match, he has to first pin or make submit Abyss. Then Abyss has to go to a penalty box that's set up in the corner of the arena for a 5-minute period in the penalty box. Meanwhile, Jeff Jarrett then has to go and retrieve the heavyweight championship of the world. And then, hopefully, now that he's eligible for it, go into the ring, set up a ladder, climb the ladder, and hang the belt up above the ring in order to be declared the winner, and then retrieve the belt once more. Now,
hang the belt over the ladder.
once again, if you grab the belt and you climb the ladder and you hang it, but have not yet pinned an opponent, the match must continue.
Oh man, you know what it is? It's like those old school style last man standing matches where they called it a insert city death match.
Yes.
You would have to pin the opponent 1, 2, 3, and then the 10 count started. Right?
It's really a 13 count.
Yeah, it's really a 13 count. Give or take, some John with the referee time.
Right.
So just the words reversed ladder match completely shattered my mind. I lost it.
I think there could be an inverse of every wrestling match. But anyway, carry on, Jay. I know we have to get to the meat of the matter here. The heart of the matter, as Don Henley.
You said you had 2 pages of notes front and back, and I completely understand.
Well, a lot of this is just like kind of chronicling like what happens because I wanted to know like the order that they went over and the order that they went out because it helps to like follow along. There are a couple of standouts. I mean, I want to talk about the positives of this experience.
We'll talk about that. Yep.
I think that when Liger and Richard Morton.
Richard, yes, please.
When
though he dresses exactly the same as he did before, and has put no effort into this gimmick at all, you have to call him by his new gimmick name, Richard Morton.
Both of them get thrown over to the other side pretty early, and then they have like a mini match in the middle of it.
Really good.
And it was pretty fun. Like I was like kind of into that. And then as soon as that really like started.
And Liger does a little acai moonsault in 1991, which was insane.
It was really cool. I was kind of just hoping that would just keep going, but then they both get eliminated. Somebody else that stands out, of course, is Steamboat. Like
Yep.
From Arn Anderson spots. I think he has the Vader spots later. And
I have written down in my notes.
One of the 4.
Vader pushed Steamboat's shit in.
Yes.
Which definitely I think he clotheslines Steamboat outside of Ring 1, which, as we know, is not an elimination unless it occurs adjacent to Ring 2. So Steamboat gets back in, and Vader just continues to pummel him.
And still in ring number 1, Sting and Luger, which is always the story of everything that I ever watched somehow. Somehow. It's funny because in commentary they keep talking about Sting, Luger, but the camera can't find them. They're over in the corner, and they're just trading punches. It's nothing crazy. I mean, the fans are nuts for it.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
They can't get a shot of it for some reason.
No, the camera work was brutal.
It was so hard.
They missed a lot of Steamboat and Anderson's brawl around the ring too, but I'm sure you're going to get to that in a minute. But
that was one of the highlights.
But the Sting and Luger thing. So a little bit of backstory on that and why the fans were reacting so loud to that. First of all, it's Sting, and one thing that's become apparent to me watching these shows is that my memory is not skewed. And a lot of these shows, and this is one of them, by the way, the crowd is just painfully silent for most of this, unless Sting's on offense.
Yep.
And then they react to everything. He was so much more over than the rest of that roster that any hindsight that tells you otherwise is full of garbage. But anyway, that's beside the point. But the backstory to this thing is Lex Luger was the world champion, had been a heel as of, 4 or 5 months prior at the Great American Bash. He turned heel, won the title, and during the course of the fall, Sting started receiving these mystery gift boxes that would show up to him. And each gift box would have something different in it. Like sometimes it would be, some just some regular lavish gift or whatever. But then the gifts started getting sinister. Like one time Missy Hyatt appeared out of the box for Sting as his gift or whatever. And then from behind attacked Abdullah the Butcher and attacked him. And then one time Cactus Jack came out of the box and attacked Sting and laid him out. And so somebody had put a hit out on Sting. And then finally, I think it was Missy Hyatt that came out of the box and distracted Sting, and he wanted to find out who it was that was the mystery person that had been financing these hitmen to come after him all during the fall. He thought it was the Dangerous Alliance, but in fact it wasn't. It was the Total Package who attacked Sting from behind, took out his knee, cost Sting the United States Championship in a match we covered earlier on Talk'n WCW versus Ravishing Rick Rude. So this was the first chance for Sting to get his hands on Lex Luger since all of that went down.
So if people are sending you other people in a box, would you automatically assume that's an assassin?
Well, I mean, if the people that he's sending me are Abdullah the Butcher and Cactus Jack, probably.
What kind of box was Abdullah the Butcher in?
Oh, these boxes, these were not, Amazon boxes. These were like boxes that you might put a refrigerator into.
Yeah. Oh, well, you'd need it. I mean,
And Abdullah Abdullah's not the swiftest of foot, as you may recall.
Yes, I do.
So it takes him a little bit to get to Sting, but he did some damage.
It takes him a little bit to get to him. Great. It takes him
because
a
he
little
is
bit.
old in the knees.
It takes him a little bit to get out between the two rings because he gets caught in between them. And I died because I'm just a sucker for that Arn Anderson type thing.
I mean, how are you going to put Abdullah the Butcher over the top rope?
Oh my God, you can't.
It's like Iron Sheik in whatever the gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. Mm-hmm. He literally won because he couldn't go. Couldn't go over the
break
top
a hip if he went over the top rope. Yeah.
Fuck at the top rope.
They sure have a time getting him out. I'll tell you that because. Kazmeyer's over there.
Kazmeyer, keep in mind, who we've been told is the strongest man who's ever lived.
Yes.
Exposing the business here.
Even he is having trouble with a legitimate strongman competitors having trouble getting Abdullah up over the top.
Right. I mean, it was just fascinating to watch because he was just hugging him, really, and just like heaving, like trying to get him up.
This is a man who built his career pulling tractors and trucks and boulders and throwing them around the world and ESPN and everything, and he can't get this man up over the top rope.
Amazing.
We all meet our match sooner or later.
Yeah, we do. And then who else was a standout for me?
Firebreaker Chip.
Firebreaker Chip, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he was one of the first ones.
He's just a good old boy.
I have a question. So, okay, you get eliminated from ring 1. You're in ring 2. Ring 2 starting to fill up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're doing your thing, trying not to get eliminated for good. which, by the way, your second and final elimination from ring 2. You can go over top rope any side of the ring, doesn't matter. It's just regular battle royal rules at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you just sneak back into ring 1? I mean, who the hell could possibly keep score? Like, well, Bill Kazmaier, he already got eliminated.
Well, I'll tell you who
minutes
could
ago
keep score, or is Gary Michael Capetta, my friend.
I was gonna say,
Oh, yeah, he's really
he was
on the
keeping
ball.
everybody straight.
Yeah, all 20 of these guys. He's
Mr.
really,
Hughes has been eliminated from ring 1.
yeah, he's got a scorecard out there in his.
So everybody but Lex gets thrown over to 2.
Right.
So he's the winner. So he gets to hang out for a little bit. Because he just has to wait for the other ring to clear out, which he does. And he's just pacing, because it's going to be Sting then. But anyway.
I liked Firebreaker Chip's chances. I got to be honest with you.
It was pretty telling when Sting was the last person announced, the last person out after even the champion Lex Luger. It's like, I wonder who's going to win this.
It's like, and he was
wonder who the final 2 are going to be.
And everybody, it's like the crowd's like, yay, oh, yay,
yay.
I will say though, that final 4 in ring 2
is
good.
Murderer's Row of talent. Got Sting, Rude, Steamboat, Steve Austin. A very young, very green Steve Austin. But
very long-haired Steve Austin.
Long-haired, yeah.
I feel, for me, Steamboat was the MVP of this match. Like I said, him and Arn were the first things I looked at when it just started going, and I just followed him, like everything he did throughout both rings, and I just thought he was fantastic.
I wish the camera would have followed him better, because there's a point where JR loses it, where he's like they are beating the fire out of each other right here next to us.
Yeah.
And the camera can't catch it. It's like, come on now.
Right.
So Steamboat helps get I think it's Vader eliminated, which is amazing. And so then you're down to your final 4. Rude knocks Austin out.
Accidentally trying to take out Steamboat.
Yes. And then Steamboat knocks Rude out, and then Rude pulls him down.
Yes.
Which should not be allowed, correct? Or not?
That's always very...
It varies from match to match. Sometimes it is allowed, and sometimes it isn't allowed. Theoretically, no, it should not be allowed. But
that's what I was thinking, that it shouldn't be allowed.
I mean, everybody has seen the iconic visual of that greedy bastard Hulk Hogan pulling the great Sid Justice over the top rope at the '92 Royal Rumble, which was a miscarriage of justice if there ever was one. But so it just depends on match to match. Sometimes they say, hey, that can't happen. He wasn't a part of the match. But in this case, they say, well, they're both gone.
Well, then his sneaky ass comes in there and hits a rude awakening on Sting.
Yes,
knocks his ass out. That was kind of badass. Mm-hmm. So Sting's kind of out. Which at this point, why didn't Luger just go nuts on him?
Because he was arrogant and stupid.
Yeah, he was stupid.
Tony calls him on it too. Tony calls him on it.
Yeah,
he says Lex Luger is no one to blame but himself here. Guys, fans, he should have really taken advantage here.
And JR, like you had mentioned earlier, like JR and Tony have trouble following this, but once it gets down to that final 4, they really start kind of, they get their bearings a little bit.
There's a story finally, and they can sink their teeth into this story. And when Luger starts walking Sting around and taunting him and all that stuff, that's when they're at their best. They can sink their teeth into a story of the match. Right. I do have a mild complaint about Flexi Lexi here, who I have mixed feelings on Lex. I think he was a good performer at times, underrated in some regards, overrated in other regards. But in this run to me was not very good for him. This 91 heel run, I did not enjoy it very much, even at the time as a kid. Something felt off. And I don't know what it was, but I think I noticed it when I was watching this match because when he's stalking around in ring 2, I'm looking for him to be doing anything at all. And what I mean by that is facial expressions, something heelish, like a cocky smirk, a look of God, I'm happy, I get to rest, and I'm picturing how someone like a Ric Flair would be reacting in that, or
Yeah.
someone like even someone like a heel Stone Cold Steve Austin, or a heel anyone really, Shawn Michaels, to use WCW part, heel DDP would be
Oh, yeah.
he'd be laying across the turnbuckles, do something, Lex, to indicate that you're a heel and should be booed and the fans
Right.
should be wanting you to get your ass kicked. And he did none of that. And even when it comes down to him and Sting, like you said, Jenny, I'm waiting for him to unload on Sting and just punish him and hurt him. And it's time to turn it up a little bit. And he throws one really nice clothesline, which he was always pretty good for. But he doesn't follow it up. He doesn't do anything of note to get heat on Sting. And I feel like, luckily the fans are wise to what's going on here. They want Sting to kick Luger's ass just because of the story. But I don't feel like, I don't want to be too critical of Lex because I know he was, I don't know what his situation was at that time, contractually and all that stuff, but like he was not invested in this match, in my opinion.
It's so weird how Luger was like really good in his early career, and he gained that reputation as a choke artist, couldn't win the big one, had all these opportunities, and blew it, so to speak. And then once he finally does win the title, that's when he checks out, and you're like, why all of a sudden does he just totally suck now? It's not just that he's a heel, because he'd bounced back and forth heel babyface so many times already. I mean, once a year you're going to get a Lex Luger turn from about 87 on, right? So, I mean, that's really nothing new. But for whatever reason, he just decided he was not going to work anymore, and I guess then they ran out of dates on his contract, so this is probably the last match he works, or
until Super Bowl.
Very sparingly we would see him until he drops that belt to Sting at Super Bowl. So, and then he's gone. And it's like, did he just decide I don't want to be a wrestler anymore?
I was just waiting on, like, again, the story was good, and I'll talk a little bit in a minute about my childhood reaction to this match, which is wildly different. But watching it today, I was like, man, Lex, give me something here. Everybody else is working hard. These final four, Stone Cold Stunning Steve and Rude and Steamboat, as Jenny mentioned, was awesome, and Sting. They're all working hard. And Lex, you don't have, obviously he's not got anybody to wrestle with over there, but you can be doing something, facial expressions, something to sell why you're a prick, you're a miserable prick, and you're reveling in the fact that you don't have to do anything and you're going to attack a beaten and broken man once this is all done. But he's not doing any of that. So I didn't like that. Harley Race was good at ringside.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Sting gets a couple of hits on Harley, too. And something else that was funny, because Lex was doing that like thing where he like kind of lazily was kind of following Sting around and doing shit to him, and they go out in the crowd and there's this guy in the front row and he's holding this little tiny baby. And
yeah, I noticed that too.
And they're like right there. And like, and the guy's like obviously delighted, but also kind of shielding his little baby.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like, too close for comfort.
But he's also like really kind of into it.
Yeah, he's got a big grin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had that. I had that too.
The lady next to him like kind of reaches for the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, I don't know. It's funny to me. So,
he's gonna wreck him.
Eventually, they get back in the first ring. And Lex thinks he throws Sting over, but Sting holds on to the rope, and then he turns his back, and then Sting wins.
Pounds his chest, does the roar, and this for a kid, as Kid Greg, this was the reason I love this match. Was that spot right there is what I still remember sitting there on the couch at my grandparents' place watching this match the first time and jumping off the couch when Sting held on and came back behind Luger and did his little Hulk up routine. Really enjoyed that. Although the elimination itself was kind of weird.
Yeah.
bounce off the ropes just to pick him up.
Yeah.
I have an observation here, a quibble, if you will, because and I wonder if anyone else has put this out there. I'm not a Battle Bowl research historian, so I don't know. I mean, wrestling fans are nothing if not anal attentive, so I can't imagine I'm the first person to take issue with this. But I think that Lex Luger, as the winner of Ring 1, who was never eliminated, mind you, should not have to give up his advantage when it comes down to the final two. So what I'm suggesting is that Luger should be able to eliminate Sting by throwing him over the top rope out of either ring. Doesn't matter. Sting goes out, he's done. Which is how they play it, right? However, Sting should have to first throw Luger into ring 2.
The second one.
To eliminate him the first
him.
time. It's a double elimination battle royal, right?
You're right.
Here's my counter.
Okay.
I have a counter for this. So I think the idea is that winning, the reason you want to win the first ring isn't so that you don't have to get eliminated twice. It is so that you get the advantage of resting the entire rest of the match, and then you have to go against a weakened opponent who has to survive then ring 2.
I think you should have a double advantage.
A double advantage?
Yes.
And imagine how much over the babyface gets if he conquers that advantage.
The first person eliminated from ring 1 into ring 2 himself also has an advantage. I mean, there might be a simultaneous elimination. He's still got to contend with another guy, or it could start to fill up fast. But still, you're in a ring with far fewer opponents than you started with. So that first person eliminated himself also has that same advantage of recovery. So I just look at it that way. That particular advantage is sort of self-canceling in a way. I don't know.
Thing.
That's my take on this. Like, it sort of defeats the purpose of this being a double elimination thing. If the winner of the first ring just can go out any old time, any old way.
I love the York Foundation. I wanted to talk about this for a moment.
Okay.
We all know that. Everyone knows. It's no secret. I think the York Foundation is the great untapped potential of early 90s WCW. I believe that it probably could have set the entire pop culture world on fire and created an industry of guys with elongated names. I want to show you 2 case studies here of the York Foundation. Study number 1, and it's an unlikely scenario because I didn't remember this. I don't remember a damn thing about Thomas Rich as a character. I remember Tommy Rich, Wildfire, looking like he was way past his prime in 1990, but he completely reinvents himself for this York Foundation gimmick. So he's got the sort of painted on Hollywood Hulk Hogan beard, the stubble, the Wall Street stubble, he's got the long pants that he shifted into, ponytail. He looks like a scuzzy Wall Street executive that would be a part of the York Foundation. On the other hand, you've got Ricky Morton, or Richard Morton, who is still wearing his Rock and Roll Express tights 7 months or 6 months after joining the York Foundation, wrestles just like he did before, looks just like he did before. What?
Yeah.
How did no one say, wear a suit, wear trunks, do something different about your presentation, cut your hair, do something? He did nothing.
Maybe he didn't want to.
It's like when you're
not, but then put somebody else in the York Foundation. Give us Venomous Hammer or something.
Venomous Hammer. Wow.
Or give us. I'm looking down the list here. William Kazmaier. There's one you could do. Arnold Anderson could have joined. Alexander Luger. Theodore Champion.
Theodore Champion.
Who else?
Large sports utility vehicle Vader.
Vader, yes, I love that. Large sports utility vehicle Vader. Richard Steiner, Chip the Firebreaker could have been a part of this. Jonathan B. Bad could have been part of it.
James Garvin.
Peter Newsom News.
Marcus Bagwell was already halfway there. I mean,
already there. Yes,
you don't have to do anything.
You did it.
With him. Mm-hmm.
You understand where I'm coming from with this. I mean, Lawrence Zabisco.
Yeah.
This is all good stuff.
I'll tell you, Richard Morton is it's like when you're playing with action figures as a kid or as an adult, I guess, and you don't have, you have the figure, right, of the character, but it's not a current comics accurate version of that character, but you still have to just use it anyway and pretend.
Yeah.
So you've got you've got Havoc in like his old shitty ass black costume with the goofy hat. But you're trying to do like an actual 90s X Factor team, is what it's like. I know everyone gets that reference. It's
I was going to say that is wildly specific.
That's a universal reference, I know. So
it is,
I had to relate that to people so they'd understand.
And let's face it, the York Foundation, I'll be the first to admit this, the York Foundation needed a little bit of diversity. That's where Ronald Simmons comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And that just would have written itself. It's all quite simple. And they once again missed the boat. And what about Large Joshua as a character?
Joshua, right? Yeah,
could have gotten. I mean, come on. It really upsets me that this never happened. Thomas Zink, the Z-Man.
Jushin disorganized barometric pressured Liger.
Liger, yes. Harleen Race, of course.
Harleen Race is the gold standard.
All right, I'm done with this.
What are we doing?
So ultimately, I like this match. You know, I enjoyed it. I really did. And I mean, it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was good. Like, I felt proud of myself for knowing who like most of these people were. And I know you guys, spoiler alert, had picked individual tag team matches before I picked, so I knew I wanted to get one of the Royals in, so sure. I think this is a good one.
Very good. Yes, I have a divided opinion on this because I've mentioned this in our private chat with one another that as a child, this was my favorite Battle Royal. It really was when I was young. Wow. Watching back on it today, I don't know why this was my favorite Battle Royal because I thought it was
Sting.
But yeah, that's why. I mean, that has to be why. The finale, like the last, once it gets into the final 5, I really enjoyed it. I love the thing with Liger and Morton.
Me too.
But man, the beginning part of it just feels like it drags because there's no eliminations for quite some time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of laying in the corner. There's a lot of awkwardness. The announcers don't know the rules, and the crowd just doesn't give a shit about most of these people, unfortunately. Yeah. But that being said, interesting concept. Probably should have killed it at 1. This probably should have been we tried it.
One and done.
It was okay. We got our by the way, coming out of this, because he won Battle Bowl, Sting got that #1 contendership against Lex Luger.
This is true.
To set up. So that did have somewhat of a purpose. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think it was an interesting experiment, but they probably didn't need to continue after this. Your thoughts, Tim?
I'm still just really bothered by the fact that Luger didn't have to be eliminated twice.
That is kind of sticking with me now.
That's sticking with me. I'm not gonna
lie. It's
an
anti-Luger conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous and convoluted as it would have been. You don't really have to make a big issue of it. Just have like Sting kind of toss him over that top rope in the first ring or something, and just
and then have Capetta say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Lex Luger has undergone his first elimination."
yeah, just to establish it. But anyway, I mean, do I care that much about it? No. At the end of the day, it's a battle royal with a spin. You've got 2 rings, double eliminations. That's quite unusual. So it's worth seeing just for the novelty of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it per se, but I definitely enjoyed talking about it. So there's that.
Hey, that's something.
Well, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I got to make you watch part of Starrcade 91.
Yes,
so.
you did.
There we go. We'll get the rest of them eventually when we do our Elegante episode.
Yes.
Just gradually just wear it down. Do a Night Stalker episode. Do a Terrence Taylor episode.
Mike Graham episode.
Right.
We ain't never doing a goddamn Terrence Taylor episode of Talk'n WCW. I'm putting my fucking foot down.
Not Mike Graham, but Terrence Taylor drew that reaction. Of course, the Mike Graham episode is just going to be us watching YouTube videos of him talking about other wrestlers.
That's right. That'd be a great episode.
All right, so let's take a break here, And then when we get back, we will see what you boys came up with.
Yep. Place to be Nation, welcome back to Talk'n WCW, where on this episode we are talking the Battle Bowl tournament, complete with the urethral lottery. TM Greg Phillips. I am Tim Capel, joined by the aforementioned Greg Phillips, and of course, the inimitable Jennifer Smith, who is going to tell you about some of the other great features you can find on the Place to be Nation network of podcasts and affiliated partners. Jenny, take it away for us.
That was very official. On the Place to Be podcast, the Mothership, number 546, JT and Scott welcome first-time guest Sean Kidd to review and discuss the 9/21/90 MSG House Show. On Chain Reaction, number 6, it is the WrestleMania reaction show with Nate Milton, Scott Criscolo, Brent Chittenton, and Chris Ely. And there is also a two-part BTBN reaction show with Chris Zellner and Devin Hales. Check that out, too. Scott and Dr. G return with the NWA Saturday special when they revisit the 70th anniversary show. Tim, you and I and Jake had an episode of PTB NXT.
Did we?
Number 3, and we looked at the weekly TV from February 20th of 2014. Be on the lookout for a new one of those as well when we talk NXT Arrival. That was a really good show.
On the network. The first show on the network.
First show on the network.
Live show, yeah.
Row 1, Seat 1, its newest episode features superfans Tiffany and Sean to discuss the impact of independent wrestling on their lives. The Special Relations are back with episode number 6. I was their first guest for that show. We talked our underrated WrestleManias, a segment that they call Happy Place, which has a bunch of different things on it. It's pretty cool, actually. And we did a live watch of my favorite match, which was the first match that I watched with you, Greg Phillips. It is the King of the Road.
King of the Road, baby.
Yep.
That is your happy place, is it not?
That is my happy place. And on the Adams division, number 7, Steve Bennett and Peter Winston choose WrestleMania matches in a complicated thought exercise. You Don't Know Billy Jack finds Drew and Jordan talking Bret Hart versus Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. Oh. So lots of cool stuff going on the feed. Of course, we also have the PlayStation Pop feed with the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Diamond Conversations, It Was a Thing on TV, The Year in Pop, Laughing Theater, The Great Debate, Marvel Age, and much more. And also, while you're at it, you might as well subscribe to my feed. It's called Jenny Position. All my shows are on there, Geek and Sassy, Freak Out Drive-In, The Journey Through Infinity, Tim. Our latest one of those is The Avengers.
It is The Avengers, yep. And we'll have another one coming pretty soon. I wonder which it is. It would be the movie after The Avengers.
It would probably be Iron Man 3, yes.
You could do the math, yeah.
Also, there's another podcast that you need to check out. It is the North-South Connection podcast with JT and Chad. So you can find Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, The Extreme Three-Way Dance, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and more stuff on that feed. We have also kicked off the 2020 Stretch Project, which is the greatest WCW match ever. I expect Starrcade 1991 to have lots of representation on everyone's list.
Yes, lots. Multiple appearances, I have no doubt.
I have actually been doing some research for that, if you will believe it or not.
I do believe it. How's that going for you?
It's pretty good. The scaffold match from Starrcade 86.
The Night of the Skywalkers.
The Night of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
I like that match. I know I'm weird, but I will have a lot of weird stuff.
Well,
is that the one where Cornette falls off the scaffold?
Yes.
Blows out both his knees.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I don't know. I like matches when people get hurt, I guess. I guess you're not
We could.
wrestling.
I mean, we
Bret
could do
Hart
a
versus Goldberg, Starrcade
Oh
1999.
God. We could do a scaffold match episode. That's a WCW concept, really.
Are there enough?
I think there probably
There
are.
are, yeah. Well, I don't know. There was 91, Great American Bash 91, Steve Austin's famous least favorite match of his entire career.
Yeah.
There is the
Ian
Night
News,
of the Skywalkers.
Fat shit up there on a scaffold. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Night of the Skywalkers, and then I feel like there might have been one. Good lord. I feel like there was one with the Rock and Rolls versus the Midnights, and one with the Road Warriors versus the Midnights. I can't remember which one was which. And I think Skywalkers was the Road Warriors one, actually.
Well,
Yes, Road Warriors and Midnight.
Point being, there's at least 3. So
yeah.
Okay.
And we could probably stretch the bounds of what a scaffold match is by including one of the weird 2000 WCW gimmick matches. They probably had something like that. Didn't Sting fall off of something at some point in 2000? I don't know.
That was the Human Torch match where Vampiro set him on fire and threw him off the Turnatron.
I need to watch that. That has come up a lot lately in conversation. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So, yes, I need to watch that.
Bobby Heenan said they used to talk about it at the airport a lot.
Everybody would come up to him and ask about it. The Human Torch match. God, what show was that, Greg?
Great American Bash 2000, maybe?
Okay. No, that definitely sounds right. One of those. It wasn't Spring Stampede, because that was the tournament, all the tournament stuff. So,
Slamboree was the Triple Cage, where Kanyon took the big...
You already had somebody getting thrown to their death on that show. So, yeah, It probably was Great American Bash.
Yep.
That would make sense.
You can find the conversation about GWCW and the rules on the Facebook page, so just search GWCW matches, or you can check out the Pro Wrestling Only message board. Also, check out our
Please
social media.
Please actually follow the rules, by the way, if you're going to read them.
Yeah. The Greatest Sports logo of 2020 tournament is concluded, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think. I don't know. It might still be on. Who knows? Anyway,
it will be.
The point is,
let's talk about the rules of this tournament again, real quick.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to vote, let's just say, for a match from 1894, you're telling me, according to these rules, that it wouldn't count, even though it was technically in the lineage of the same championship that Jim Crockett Promotions promoted years later.
Yeah, not within scope of the rules.
So you're telling me that if I want to look at Lou Thez versus Gorgeous George from 1951, even though it was in the same geographical region, that I can't include that in this tournament.
That's going to also be outside scope, good buddy.
You mean to tell me that if I can find the lost footage of Gotch Hackenschmidt, that I can't include that in this tournament?
Not within scope, I'm afraid.
I'm just not submitting a ballot then. This event is forfeit. Forfeit, I say.
Okay, so I was trying to find our winners here. It looks like the LA Raiders won the NFL region. That was today.
I think I know what that looks like.
It's a guy with a eye patch with an old-timey football helmet and 2 swords.
Okay, the 2 swords, yes, clinched it for me.
There you go.
Wow. I knew what it
Congrats, Raiders.
The Raiders.
Also, our new tournament will be starting soon, and that is junk food.
The fat shit tournament.
Fat shit tournament. Can't wait for that. It's much more in my wheelhouse.
Do you have a favorite right out of the gate for, God, without even knowing how anything is seated or what's included and not included? We have a feeling, though, that we already did a candy tournament, so no candy will be part
candy.
of the...
No, it's like chips, cookies, salty snacks.
Cookies? If cookies are in play, I would think Oreo wins this.
Oreo, yeah, I would say Oreo. And I'm going to put Little Debbie, and it's hard to determine which one. I like an oatmeal cream pie. I also like a Swiss cake roll.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas tree cakes might be the dark horse.
Now, if we're just going personal, Christmas tree cakes are like my favorite Little Debbie snack.
Oh man, those are so. I ate a whole box of those in one day this past Christmas.
Underrated one too. Star Crunch.
I have Star Crunch in my
Yep.
pantry right now.
Yep.
Big fan.
Yep.
Big fan.
That is
Now, when we
very
get into
underrated.
the chips reign, I'm thinking because Doritos are going to split the vote between Cool Ranch and Nacho Cheese.
Ooh, that's fucked. You're right.
I think Cheetos has the
They
edge
might
in
split it
chips.
too, though. You got crunchy and
Cheese puffs.
Puffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
But I guess it's just I've always preferred the crunchy cheese curls to
Yeah.
Cheetos
Me too.
to the cheese puffs,
the
if
cheese
you will.
puffs, yeah.
Oh God, I had those in my pantry right now too. It's quarantine
man.
got me fucked up.
You know, what's going to get slept on? Entenmann's, you know?
You think
Some of
so?
those- yeah, some of those.
Those are like fancy though, you know. That was always like
Is it? I mean,
it was. Oh, it comes in a pretty box and like it's all like
is it expensive? I don't pay
it's
attention to these
more
things as
expensive
an
than
adult.
Little Debbie
Yeah,
for
it's true.
sure.
I'm
Are
sure
you
it
are
is.
Entenmann's those little donuts?
Entenmann's is when you get like a coffee cake or a cheese Danish or a raspberry. If you're being really fancy, get a raspberry cheese Danish. It usually has its own little stand. Yeah, I guess it is kind of frou-frou.
It is a little bit squishy.
I mean,
Entenmann's.
but it's just a bullshit
It's
thing.
good.
What?
It's real good.
Yeah.
It's probably named after a butler. Like
Sounds
these are
like
Entenmann's.
Entenmann's, yes.
My father, Mortimer Entenmann.
Multiple Entenmann loved his coffee cake. What about Devil Dogs and Ding Dongs? Once again, the Ding Dongs make an appearance here on our podcast.
Guys, I'm getting a cut in right now. Nature Boy Ric Flair, my
Okay.
God.
Please.
Listen. When you go on a road trip, you go on a road trip, and listen to this crew. It's me, it's Wahoo McDaniels, okay? It's Harley, all right? You got me, and it's Blackjack Mulligan, and we're in the car. Mulligan pulls out. You wouldn't even believe it. He pulls out the biggest box of ding dongs you've ever seen in your life. And I said, "Look at the ding dong." And they said, then nobody laughed. And I looked at Harley, and Harley said to me with that rasp in his voice, he says, "Hey, kid, I'd rather eat a ho-ho any day of the week." And I said, "Ho-ho, what's that?" And he told me, and it changed my life. I got to be honest. Wow. Enlightening words.
From the Nature Boy.
There.
Amazing.
Ric
Salt.
Flair not knowing what a ho-ho is kind of up there for me now. Not gonna lie, that's kind of up there with Arn and Rick reading each other's minds.
Oh gosh, Ho Ho Loon, what a great guy. Anyway, forget that.
Oh shit. Okay, so we've also got Pringles, which I can fuck with some Pringles.
Yeah,
let me
me
too.
you.
Funyuns. I love Funyuns.
Oh, I love Funyuns.
Funyuns are my
Funyuns.
favorite chip, actually. Now that I think about it.
Sun
like
chips,
the
though. Sun chips.
What are they
man.
called? I like Sun Chips. Munchos or whatever.
Munchos.
Oh God, I forget the name.
What's a Munchos?
I don't know.
I don't know what a Munchos is.
Terry Taylor pulled me aside in the locker room. He said, "Rick, you ever had a Muncho?" I said, "I don't think so."
No.
I will to try.
All right, moving on.
What in the hell is a Muncho? These young talents in the business, they won't take your ding dongs, they won't take your ho hos, but they'll have Munchos on hand. That's real nice.
They are called Munchos. They're in a red bag.
Munchos.
And they're like
All right.
They're
I'm gonna
like
look.
airy. They're like
Are they like bugles?
No, they're
Oh, I've seen these, but I've never had
they're
them.
like a fluffier Pringle.
I've never seen these before in my life.
You've never seen Munchos?
Mm-mm.
They were
I've seen it
always
with
Oh, okay. I've seen these on a very limited basis, I feel like.
they have like a unique like sort of crunch and flavor.
I've definitely
That's
never
not like
had
a-
them. Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Munchos. Okay.
I don't have either. What about like a pretzel or something basic like that? Do you think that makes it very far?
Nah.
Probably
Well,
goes
also,
out early.
I'm weird with pretzels. I only like soft pretzels. I don't like
Me
hard
too.
pretzels anymore. When I was a kid, I loved hard pretzels, but now I won't eat a pretzel unless it's a soft pretzel from one of those places at the mall.
Yeah, kind of feel you on that.
I wonder if that's gonna make it in.
Ooh,
Soft pretzel.
that could
It's
be a
junk
game
food.
changer. That could be a
Yeah.
game changer. Man, I'll tell you, I never liked goldfish or Cheez-Its or
I love Cheez-Its.
I never could do Cheez-Its. I don't know. I mean, I love cheese, but it always just felt it had like a burnt taste to it. I never. I don't know.
They stick in your teeth
They
real
do
bad.
stick in your teeth. Yeah. Now, what about nuts? Are we gonna do nuts? Or are we gonna do like cashews and peanuts and
I love me some cashews.
Pistachios.
pistachios?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They're gonna be. That could be considered junk food, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You also got your pork rinds and your
Mm.
beef jerky.
I feel like pork rinds is going to be more of a regional delicacy. Like down in the South, we like us some pork rinds, but I don't know if that's a big
Right.
thing in other areas of the country.
True.
Should be represented though. I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too.
God, this could be a whole podcast.
Yeah, you're right. We got to move on. Move on to placebenation.com so you can check out our articles every day pretty much on wrestling, sports, and pop culture, including the SmackDown on Fox report from Trent, This Week in the WWE by John Crow, Polly's Perspective, and Ben's Unpopular Opinion. Now, some of those articles might be on hiatus for a little bit, but we'll see, I
dear.
guess. And don't forget about the veteran columns like Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. And if you're doing online shopping at Amazon.com, be sure to click on the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage, and it takes you right to Amazon and helps out B2BN with no cost to you. And I think that's all to mention
Okay.
before we get to our next pick, which is Greg's pick.
Yes, that is right. And my pick comes to us from Atlanta, Georgia, in the Omni, in front of 8,000 WCW fanatics. This was at Starrcade 1992, and it is once again Battle Bowel, the urethral lottery, as we are preparing to do a much smaller field this time than what we had in '91. I think they thought the concept is amazing, but let's just cut it in half maybe and see where we go from here. So this year in 1992, our pairings are as follows: Van Hammer and Danny Spivey. Johnny, which I didn't know Danny Spivey was in WCW at this point.
Oh yeah.
Johnny B. Bad and Cactus Jack, Big Van Vader and Dustin Rhodes, Kensuke Sasaki and the Barbarian, The Great Muta and Barry Windham, Brian Pillman and Too Cold Scorpio, which sounds like a cool tag team.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Death Steve Williams and Sting, Jushin Thunder Liger and Eric Watts. Oh my God, poor Jushin Liger.
Lord. And
those are your teams this time around. A much smaller field, guys. I think we have, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. So not nearly as many people, 16 people in this tournament. But nonetheless, those were your pairings. And my selection, out of that, I looked at the competitors, and I thought, it would be kind of cool to see Vader and the Barbarian go at it. So I went with Big Van Vader and the natural Dustin Rhodes against Kensuke Sasaki and the Barbarian. Yeah. Who Barbarian has a real interesting look in this match that I didn't remember him having in WCW, which is sort of a combination of his, antlers look from the end of his WWF tenure, along with the Powers of Pain face paint.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks big and intimidating as hell in this match. Kensuke Sasaki is a fresh young talent out of Japan, still learning the ropes in America. And then you got Dustin Rhodes. And I thought to myself, work with the natural Dustin Rhodes. I kept imagining in my mind him getting a Star Wars gimmick of the unnatural Dustin Rhodes. It didn't really work, certainly back then. we didn't know what was to come in the Star Wars universe. But so I selected this match. It is a legal
Steve
lottery
was
segment.
Vader.
I'm tagging with Van Vader.
The unnatural Dustin Rhodes and Vader.
Right. Republic.
So you just picked this match based on you thought it would be cool, or like you hadn't seen it before?
I hadn't seen this show. I'll be honest, I don't remember ever seeing this entire show before. I'm sure I have when I was a kid. I probably rented it on VHS because I rented every wrestling tape. I remember, the only thing I remember about this show was Sting and Vader and the King of Cable. That's all I remembered.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite Sting and Vader match. So this was kind of picking in the blind for me, and I picked this match based on Dustin's a great talent. We all know that.
Yeah.
Van Vader is cool to watch. Barbarian is a big, tough dude. I like watching Barbarian matches. And Kazuki Sasaki became a great wrestler. I don't know what he was like in 1992. I couldn't remember. So I was like, let's give it a shot. By the way, not until I've been watching these guys in particular since this time when I was a boy. This is the first time I've noticed or even cared or even thought about this. But seeing their names on top of each other in the brackets here, they could have done something, could they not have, with Van Hammer being related to Big Van Vader?
It's right there. It's for the taking, and they just didn't seize on it. You're right.
No. I mean, if we assume that Heavy Metal was Van Hammer's first name, and that Big is Van Vader's first name, then I mean, it just stays to reason. Anyway, so this match only
Van
goes...
Vader, well, Van is the common... Is Van the last name or the middle name?
I think it's like I think it's the middle name. I think they share like a cousin somewhere down the line.
I see.
And but yeah, so this match goes a little under 7 minutes, like 6 minutes 56 seconds according to Wikipedia, and it is largely big. As Big E Langston or Big E would like to say, it's big meaty men slapping meat.
Oh.
Yep.
And
sure is.
And Vader and the Barbarian stand in the middle of the ring and just trade bombs, and neither one wants to sell a damn thing. They're just selling goodnight.
I love it.
They're trading bombs with each other. Dustin and Vader are actually working shockingly well as a tag team, considering they were opponents at the last Clash before this, I believe. Or no, not the last Clash. They were opponents in the semifinals of the King of Cable tournament.
Yes. Good call.
So, but they're working together here, and Sasaki and the Barbarian are working together. But it's a lot of slugfest here. There's not a lot of technical wrestling, not a lot of arm drags and hip lock takeovers and side headlocks and Russian leg sweeps and all that. Just a lot of clotheslines, punches, kicks, knees. Whatever, the standing Vader bomb where he just throws his fat into them, it's awesome. The flying Vader bomb where he goes so hard into him that he loses his balance and flies across the ring.
Oh,
awesome.
shit.
Barbarian looks like he could just kick everybody's ass at any moment that he wanted to at a moment's notice. It's just awesome. I love seeing that. It's a very short match. I can't say it's a great match or anything, but like it's a fun match. It's a real fun sprint. Everybody does their part well. Sasaki comes in. His stuff looks good when he's in there. Throws a nice little clothesline, I think, and then gets out of the way. And really, to me, this match was about Vader and the Barbarian. Dustin does his part too, certainly, gets the pinfall, and then Vader just clobbers him right after the match.
Yeah.
Lays him out with a vicious clothesline, setting the stage for Battle Bowl later in the night, I would presume.
Oh my God. I was like really completely shocked to hear you say that you just sort of randomly picked this based on who was in it, because I felt like, wow, this is pretty fun. Like, I really like this match, and I'm sure Greg has a great story about why he liked
No, I have no story. I have no recollection of this match happening.
Shocking.
The only match I remembered from this show was Sting and Vader, and again, I think I saw that apart from the show. I never watched. I was kind of drifting out of WCW a little bit at this point in late '92 because the Watts era was kind of not appealing to a kid, because it was like they took away top rope moves for a while. They they were introducing a lot of weird like pushes and emphasis on old timey things, and so it wasn't the best time for it to be a kid that was a fan, even though there was still some good stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't going to be super interested in watching Chono and the Great Muta wrestle for 13 minutes for the NWA title, or watching Ron Simmons and Dr. Death, who had not been presented as a single star in WCW.
Right.
So, but that being said, I'm glad I picked this match, Jenny, because watching it, I agree. I thought it was a real good match, real fun. I always love watching big dudes like trade bombs with each other, for lack of a better terms.
Vader
And
was so great.
so good. And Dustin Rhodes is a guy that I've just gotten much more affinity for doing this show. He just always, the best way I could put it is he's always in the right spot. Like he's never, it's not often I watch a Dustin Rhodes match, certainly after 91 or whatever. It's not often that I watch a Dustin Rhodes match and I'm like, oh, he's clumsy or he's in the wrong spot. He really is, as his nickname is, the natural. And
natural.
And it reminds me natural. Lord Vader, duck.
I love that we both say it the same way.
You can learn these things, not from a horseman.
Yes.
But yeah, so he's always in the right spot. He's a little bit like Bret Hart in some ways, in that he just, even if he doesn't do anything that like jumps out at you like a crazy dive or a crazy big move, he's just in the right place at the right time to make things look great. And big fan.
How about Sasaki got fucking suplex on Vader?
Suplex on Vader, you're right.
That was badass. Like, I went, whoa, shit.
Even Jesse the Body had to give him props for that.
Yeah, it was.
That's
it was
a nice
awesome.
reversal there, Ross.
Yeah, if there's any, I mean, everybody kind of gets some really good shine in it, and the Dustin and Vader reluctant partnership really worked for me, and I thought it was a great pick. I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah, I was too. And the interesting thing also about this match was the crowd reaction, because even though the match wasn't really worked this way, and that's the only minor quibble I would have about it, I feel like the crowd was kind of into getting to cheer Vader for once.
Yeah.
Listen to them when he's on offense on Barbarian. That crowd's, as Stone Cold will say, they're coming, baby, they're coming, and and we don't know why, but they are. And the they're just there for Vader. They're reacting to all of his hits with those boom, boom.
I always cheer Vader, whatever. I think
they were enjoying the chance to sort of feel him out as a babyface, but they didn't really work the match as like babyfaces versus heels. The only other complaint is I wish it had gone longer. I wish we got 10 minutes. Didn't need to go super long, but 10 minutes would have been a good time for this match. But I guess it's better to leave them wanting more than to outstay your welcome, and they certainly did not do that. This was a fun match, and I too am glad I selected it.
Yeah, this is. I am equally surprised as Jenny that you just kind of chose this because it looked like an interesting match on paper. Because I remember first watching this Starrcade '92 end to end just a few years ago. Again, doing that Starrcade retrospective. This was the one Battle Bowl match that actually stood out to me, where I was like, very unusual combinations, but they kind of maximize the potential of it. And God, it might be, of those in the history of Battle Bowl, the tag matches, a standout. I mean, again, I'm not a historian on this concept at all, but I know this is one that definitely leaves an impression. And by the way, how wild is it to see the Barbarian in 1992 WCW, knowing that he's going to be there like pretty much until the end, right? I don't know if he really was there the day that they closed shop, but certainly I remember seeing him through like 1999, and I'm pretty sure he was still there in 2000. Like, they might have cut him at some point along the way, but
yeah, I mean, I was thinking like, what was he doing in like 94 and 95? I can't remember.
Right?
Maybe he was doing Worldwide or something. I don't know,
but it's just like you think of when Ming gets there, well, Haku Ming becomes Ming, and then we get the feces of fear, of course, and their team for a while. Then they split up and feud, and then they become a team again, I believe. Such is the nature of WCW tag teams. So it's just nuts to think he was pretty much around for that long. And I was just sort of blown away seeing 1992 Barbarian. And as you said, selling for nothing, even against Vader, who himself is not big on selling, certainly. Took note of no gloves on Vader here.
Interesting.
Interesting, right? And I think this is just simply Vader going, y'all have really got me wrestling 3 times tonight on this same card. I've got to do this. I got to do the Battle Royal because we're going to win. But I've also got the King of Cable finals against Sting, which is going to be a grueling match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is Vader just kind of saying, fuck it.
Fuck it.
You're going to get what you get here. I mean,
And it still fucking works somehow.
and it still works. It still works because he's
so
like,
amazing.
he's in total, like, I don't care mode. No gloves. You're not going to get gloved by Vader, baby.
And then right at the end, he kind of like taps Dustin. He's like, yeah, shakes his head like, good job, man. Good job. Clobbers him, just
Wallops
knocks
him.
the fuck out. I'm
That's
like,
my favorite.
amazing.
That's my favorite. I know it's after the bell, but that's my favorite part of the match. Because it's just good strategy. You know, the instant that he and Dustin are no longer a tag team, he's just going to take him out because he just knows that's going to increase his advantage going into the Battle Royal. There's no sense in maintaining this fake partnership. Like, what are we doing? We just all we have to do is win the match. Now we're no longer partners. It's brilliant.
And it gives us a chance to hear the moral conscience of JR come through on commentary, which I always appreciated about him in his prime was his righteous indignity that always sounded genuine.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, what's the point of that? That's just wrong. That is not right.
And even Jesse was momentarily confused until he realized, well, you know, Harley Race probably told him you aren't partners no more, so take him out. He's your opponent. And then it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
I love your Jesse too, by the way. You're nailing your impressions tonight.
Yes. Yep. Why did they? So he was confused at first, but they got it together. JR, of course, is angry and not happy about this turn of events. Now, if it happened, Michael Cole would go apoplectic, but you wouldn't believe a single word he was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a damn shame that it's come to this here at WCW Battle Bowl.
Exactly. Oh, there's also a great double team move in this match. We talked about how well Vader and Dustin worked together, surprisingly.
Attack, right?
Yeah, well, it was like a spine buster with a lariat on top that Dustin does that just looked so sweet.
Yeah, it was good.
Again, we should have gone 10 minutes. That would have cemented it.
Oh, yeah, just... Again, like you guys said, I don't need to go all night, but tack on a few extra minutes. I could have done with that. Maybe seen a Vader powerbomb. Shit.
Yeah, maybe Barbarian busts out his big superplex.
Oh, yeah. God.
You know what? It actually does make sense that you just randomly pick this because it's your own little lethal lottery, right? You just
I put
randomly.
I took every tag match from the shows that were eligible for this episode.
Oh, you put it in
a
a
tumbler.
Yeah.
That's what you should have done.
And I went and I found somebody to turn the tumbler for me. And I had Johnny B. Bad draw the. No, Fifi was not available. Sadly, she's with Rick now. But I did find Brian Knobs to actually put
even better.
Okay.
Even better. You just put all the tag teams in his asshole. And
what you did was you inserted the handle of the tumbler into his asshole, and he just kind of shimmied.
Lord.
And it didn't move because his asshole is so cavernous that it just kind of chilled there.
Oh, such good shit in there.
This is like...
Oh, good Lord. What have we done?
Look, at least people aren't paying for this podcast.
You're
That's
right.
true. That's
Free content, people. Timothy,
Oh, okay. I'm up now, huh?
it's your turn.
All right, I'm on deck. So I went to the Battle Bowl, got a dedicated pay-per-view, guys, after 1991,
such
1992.
a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years of this, they decided we'll give it its own event, even though Starrcade 91, it was its own event. No matter, it is now taking place on November 20th of 1993. We have mercifully separated it from Starrcade. This is in the Pensacola Civic Center, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Nice.
And I chose, not so much at random, well, kind of at random, this is another pay-per-view, by the way, I've never seen, because of the Battle Bowl concept.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I went with Ric Flair and Steve Austin versus Too Cold Scorpio and his partner Max Payne. Similar to Greg, I just thought this looked interesting on paper. It's another one of those, one tag team looks completely random. The other team is two rivals that they have slapped together. Because, as you know, throughout the better part of 1993, Ric Flair had made his return earlier in the year, reunited with Arn Anderson, and we're getting these Flair for the Gold segments that Steve Austin and his tag team partner Brian Pillman are making light of at every opportunity, calling a Flair for the Old. And so we get the Hollywood Blondes versus the Horsemen, Flair and Anderson, throughout much of 1993. Never really got a proper blow-off. You know, the feud really was Flair and Austin throughout all of that, right? So we got some really good tag team matches out of these respective proper teams that I enjoy a great deal. But you didn't really get that big-time singles match between Flair and Austin, which I think in 93 or perhaps even into 94 could have been pretty promising. I mean, Austin had come a long way, and Flair is Flair, of course, and you know, just wasn't in the stars. So we see them. This is a somewhat unique way of continuing that rivalry by putting them together on a team. And I like the chemistry, or the anti-chemistry, as it is, between the two of them. You know, you've got Austin starting it off as kind of the hot gun stud, and Flair just teasing that he's not going to tag in, that he's going to hang Austin out to dry, make him wrestle the whole match. What does he care, right? It's really to his benefit that Austin gets taken out here. He doesn't have to care about this tournament. He's Ric Flair. But ultimately, he does get in there, and that leads to a nice little pin and reversal sequence between Flair and Scorpio, who, God, I love me some Scorpio.
Scorpio jumped off the screen in this match.
He did.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah. As he often does. He's one of those very overlooked talents because he was so ahead of his time in the early 90s.
Absolutely. And he's even able to overcome Jesse constantly referring to him as the Cold Man.
The Cold Man.
Cold Man.
I was wondering if that was a thing, or like if Jesse was just being a dick.
Yeah,
I think that's just Jesse.
Just a Jesse thing.
Riffing.
Yeah.
Well, I know Too Cold from ECW, of course.
Right.
And
he was even ahead of his time for ECW. I mean, the man was a decade ahead of his time, really.
Oh, easily.
Well,
he was Rob Van Dam before there was a Rob Van Dam.
Oh, tremendous.
He's not real good on the promos, if we're being honest.
No.
Well, no, but neither were a lot of the great in-ring technicians of the era. I watched earlier on YouTube. I watched a Ricky Steamboat promo that was so bad.
Oh God! But his are like
dreadful.
cute bad though.
He's trying to kill time while Ric Flair's going into the ring. This is in '94, and he's talking to Mean Gene. And keep in mind, Steamboat's supposed to be the baby. Yeah, and he's like, Flair's being real arrogant, and he tells Tony, "I'm going to leave this watch with you, Tony. It's probably the first time in your life you've held something that's worth more than your house." And Flair goes into the ring, and Steamboat and Mean Gene goes, "How arrogant is that?" And then he's just setting him up, and all Ricky can have is, "Well, he's certainly got a very positive opinion of things."
Somewhat
It reminded me of the
materialistic.
Yeah, it reminded me of the infamous Callisto. "I'm going to do some good lucha things. God damn. Woo!"
Tim, I assumed you picked this match for Max Payne reasons.
Doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
That said, Max doesn't get a whole lot of shine here, does he?
I liked what he did
I
when
did
he
too.
was in there.
I did too when he was in there. Yeah.
Was 2 enough?
And he was encouraging Scorpio too. He would talk him up, and he broke up a couple of pins.
Right.
That Austin would try on Too Cold, which I love them two together too. But I thought they were a cool little mixture there.
I thought it was funny that Flair and Scorpio being like the proper faces, I guess, at this point in WCW, they do like this mutual respect high five at one point.
So awkward.
It's pretty awkward, but it's funny, and it's just like, okay, this is what we're doing in 1993.
Rick, even as a babyface, Rick can't help himself but to do heel spots.
Yeah,
so they do that spot when Max Payne tags in, and Rick instantly gets him in the corner and gives him the chop, and he does the Sting Hulk up out of the corner spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing missing was Rick doing the beg off and the "oh God."
Yeah.
I never would have imagined I would end up watching Too Cold Scorpio and Ric Flair wrestle each
It's
other.
so weird. It's such a style clash, and yet it's still really cool to watch.
It is cool.
Sometimes those work. You get some of those Flair, and the comparison that you made, Greg, RVD, in like the early 2000s, they had some interesting and not bad matches. Also thinking of Flair and Shelton Benjamin, like in 2004. This is sort of the last gasps of Flair as an in-ring, consistent, week-to-week wrestler.
Yeah, and you'd think that, and then there's some that, and when Rick did have bad chemistry with someone, it was obvious, like Scott Steiner or whatever. But like
Rick Rude.
But like Rick Rude, yeah, absolutely. It was obvious instantly they just didn't have any chemistry. But Too Cold, I think they probably could have had a good single match out of this.
I really do. Yeah.
The only part in this match that actively bugged me, even though I really
that bugged me, but go ahead.
I don't know that it is because this is such a nitpick because I really liked this match overall. I didn't like the dirtiest player in the game constantly chastising his tag team partner for cheating, even though he's a babyface.
Yeah.
So Austin grabs the top rope, a move that Ric Flair's done 160 million times in his career. And he goes over there and he slaps Austin's hand off the rope. I was like, Ric Flair's a dick. What are you doing this for? Dick Flair. He's kicking Robert Parker constantly, who doesn't do anything. If Parker was trying to cheat and Flair's like, oh, that's where I draw the line, that'd still be weird, but whatever. But no, Ric Flair draws the line at grabbing the ropes
for leverage.
I kind of took it like, if I'm not doing it, you're not going to do it.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I took it.
That's how I smoothed it over in my head too. I did the same thing. And plus he has heat with Austin, so he's kind of like, hey,
he's just being a dick.
Steve Austin is not going to out Ric Flair here.
Exactly.
So, and I wish they sort of did something with that on commentary rather than acting like, oh, Ric Flair is so virtuous, he's not going to let his tag team partner cheat. Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you, Charlie. So, let me ask you this now. Was anybody else favorite part of this match the very beginning when Austin wants to start the match because he's the captain of the team, locks up, instantly gets shoved to the mat, pops up, and then instantly reaches his hand out for a tag?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of heel shit you just don't see anymore.
Yep.
Oh, man, that was good.
And Flair kind of just laughs at him.
He's like, I'm the captain.
Yeah.
God.
Get me out of here.
two of the great heel things that you don't see anymore. That the heel that talks a big game and then instantly tries to tag out of the match after he gets shoved down once, then the old Jericho and Eddie spot where the heel gets knocked down. Takes a couple bumps and then runs on his knees across the ring to hug his partner around the waist as the referee protects them.
Those Jericho Eddie matches are so much fun. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Anyway,
thought that Austin was probably the MVP of this. I mean,
Austin put in a lot of work.
he really did.
Yeah.
He did
stand out
the majority of the work here, but yeah, it was. I like this match too. You know,
I would say that as a pure match, this is probably the best of the three that we reviewed. I think this is the best like pure wrestling match. I think the Vader one is more action packed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this one told the best story of the three. And well, I mean, the Battle Bowl did tell a good story once it got down to what it was doing. But I like this one. You know, the chemistry was there. Everybody played their roles well. The right guy lost, which helped. Max Payne made sense to be the guy to lose to the figure four.
Yeah.
First time I've seen the figure four beat anybody from Rick in a long time watching match.
It was sloppy as fuck too.
Yeah, but it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
And
well, it's also funny because Max Payne gets the hot tag and tries to go to work on Flair, and Flair just backs him into the corner, chops him, takes him down, figure four. That's it. Like he totally cut off that.
And then another great moment from Austin, goes to the top rope and just awkwardly loses his balance and stumbles and then tries to play it off like he wasn't going to do anything, even though he's clearly about to jump on probably Ric Flair.
Right.
And just kind of gets out of the ring, raises his hands up like, hey, I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't do a damn thing.
And Flair kind of helps cover for that too, where he's like, no, I'm going to prevent Austin from doing any further damage here, and also I'm afraid that Austin's going to attack me, so he kind of chases him off, you know. And so they're trying to recreate that spot between Vader and Dustin from the year before, but it kind of goes tits up, and they just
I thought they did a great job of
you
playing
tried, but I'm craftier than that because I'm the dirtiest player in the game.
Mm.
And I guess we should do this. We've done it for all the other ones. Let's talk. Jesus, God in heaven. No wonder I hated 93 WCW. Let's talk about these pairings, shall we?
Okay.
So they expanded the tournament back to 16 teams. 16 teams, right? And here are the teams that we have at our disposal here. Vader and Cactus Jack with Harley Race. And by the way, this is where it's completely not random.
Right.
Vader and Cactus Jack with Harley Race defeated Charlie Norris and Kane. Now, this is not the Undertaker's brother Kane.
No.
Glenn Jacobs. This is rather Stevie Ray.
Yep.
Of Harlem Heat, and his initial name of Kane.
Right. Partnered with
Charlie
Cole,
Norris is
partnered with Cole as his regular tag team partner.
Yes, Kane and Cole.
Booker T, his brother.
When did they change to Booker T and Stevie Ray? I don't even remember.
Oh, God, I have no idea. Some
Charlie
point 94?
It has to be early 94. Charlie Norris is not Chuck Norris. It is some guy that was a shitty wrestler that WCW pushed in 93. Mm-hmm. Brian Knobbs and Johnny B. Bad with Missy Hyatt, because she was managing the Nasty Boys at that time, defeated Eric Watts and Paul Roma.
Dreadful.
The Shockmaster and Paul Orndorff.
Good Lord.
Defeated Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Lord Steven Regal with Sir William.
What?
Now, Regal and Steamboat could be a fun team.
Hell yeah.
And good opponents, too.
Yes. The Shockmaster and Paul Orndorff, not Romeo Roma. That was earlier. King Kong and Dustin Rhodes.
Wait a minute. Shockmaster and Paul Orndorff versus Steamboat and Regal. Is that the most lopsided, in terms of talent, between two tag teams?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I give Orndorff some credit, though.
Right, but it's 1993 Orndorff. So
yeah, it's 1993 Orndorff with one arm that's tiny and one arm that's huge.
Yeah.
That's mean, but it's true. King Kong of the everybody remembers this tag team, the Kongs. Yeah. King Kong and Awesome Kong. Anyway,
Kong.
King Kong and Dustin Rhodes defeated the Equalizer and Awesome Kong. Now, Jenny, you may not realize this, but the Equalizer is actually Evad Sullivan.
I did know that, yes.
He's Paul Orndorff's friend, and he's his good friend.
It's good. I am Mr. Wonderful. I love that, guys. I got to be honest. That's probably my favorite impression that I do, but I can't ever do it. Nobody knows the hell Paul Orndorff.
No, yeah. The best is when you mix it up and he becomes Myth Wonderful. I am Myth Wonderful.
This is wonderful. I am Mrs. Wonderful.
So many variations.
I'm Mrs. Wonderful. Anyway, King Kong and Dustin Rhodes, the Equalizer, and defeated the Equalizer and Awesome Kong. Not the great women's wrestler Awesome Kong. But
I was getting confused real quick right
the
there.
shit men's wrestler.
Yeah.
Sting and Jerry Sachs.
Wow.
With Missy Hyatt defeated Ron Simmons and Keith Cole. Wow. Now I don't know who Keith Cole is.
Keith Cole.
Help me out with this.
So Kent and Keith Cole were the Cole twins. So male jobbers, I guess, Keith and Kent, and Ron Simmons is teamed with one of them. Wow. Okay.
It would have been more interesting if it would have been like Ron Simmons and the pastor Kenneth Copeland in a tag.
There you go.
That would have been entertaining.
Right.
Ric Flair, we watched that one. We already know that one. Mm-hmm. The ravishing Rick Rude and Shanghai Pierce defeated Tex Slazenger and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Yeah, now, they're not even hiding the fact that they're working all of these because it's all tag team partners against each other.
Each other, yeah. We're all rivals on a team together.
Right. And then finally, the most random matchup that I've seen in this particular tournament, I think you'll agree. Road Warrior Hawk and Rip Rogers defeated Davey Boy Smith and Cole.
God. That sounds like death. I mean...
Why is Rip Rogers even in this tournament?
That match will give you the coronavirus if you watch it. That was a tasteless joke, but...
Low-key, my favorite parts were watching the guys in the backstage in the locker room waiting for their name to be called.
That's a great point.
In the lottery.
Yep.
I don't know why. It's just so weird because you don't ever, like in this era, you don't see like everybody gathered together.
Well, and also it's so blatant because they show the face locker room and the heel locker room.
Right, yeah.
Let me tell you some fun stuff to look in your free time if you get some, Jenny, is they did this gimmick a few times with the face locker room and the heel locker room. On WCW Saturday Night, they used to have this occasional gimmick they do where the fans would vote on a match. And so they'd put up a hotline number, and you'd call as a fan, which I did call a few times, and vote on what match you wanted to see between the baby faces and the heels, basically. You pick one baby face, one heel, and have them go against each other.
I think we talked about this one.
Yeah. And so you would get to see the reactions of everybody once they're picked. And there'd be the disappointment of, damn, they didn't pick me. But then they'd start applauding for whoever it was that went out there.
Yeah.
And the heels would all be brooding and all that stuff. So it's really fun. And it was kind of an under... As much as I crap on 1993 WCW sometimes, it was a fun time on Saturday night for stuff like that.
That's what gave us the great Sting Flair match in '93.
Yeah, from '93. Yeah. And then we should mention also that Vader actually won the 16-man Battle Royal, last eliminating Sting, because, to the best of my knowledge, Vader won every single match he had in 1993.
Seemingly.
As he should.
That's how I remembered it.
Good year.
But that was overall. That's your Battle Bowl show, and I gotta say, I thought you did a good job picking this, Tim, because I thought obviously when you see the tantalization of Ric Flair and Steve Austin on a team together, with the great Colonel Rob Parker at ringside, you get the athleticism of Too Cold, you get the two of the most famous lower bodies in wrestling, in Colonel Robert Parker and Too Cold Scorpio.
Oh, wait. Too Cold is in that category?
Yes. Too Cold is in that category per Mick Foley's.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. You ever get a chance to read Mick Foley's first autobiography? Still one of the best wrestling books.
I think you said it looked like a garden hose.
Yes. Have a nice day. A tale of blood and sweat socks. And that, I think the garden hose is the analogy that he used. Yes.
Oh boy. All right. Thank you for that trivia.
And you've also got Max Payne.
God, so you got Flair, Scorpio, and
Colonel Parker.
Colonel Parker. Wow. I mean,
God damn, son.
You can lasso the moon with that.
I'm just saying. All right.
But yeah, so but very interesting. I did not expect to find such a I wouldn't call it necessarily hidden gem, but a good match in a 1993 Battle Bowl was not what I was expecting. And let's all be thankful, by the way, that we didn't select the 1996 Battle Bowl, because I would suggest that would have been even worse.
Honestly, I came really close for DDP reasons. I wanted to actually choose a tag team match. Had I, sort of broadened my personal criteria and considered Battle Royals, I would have done that 96 Battle Royal because DDP gets the win there.
Yes.
And we see multiple 1996 Diamond Cutters too, which, I can...
Oh my God, the field for this tournament was enormous this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the brackets now. Okay, I can run through these real quick. Road Warrior, this is 96. Road Warrior Animal and Booker T versus Road Warrior Hawk and Lex Luger. The Public Enemy, who got put together, defeated Chris Benoit and the Taskmaster.
Who got put together.
Yes. Rick Steiner and the Booty Man with the Booty Babe defeated Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman and Scott Steiner. VK Wall Street and Jim Duggan defeated the Blue Bloods, who also... the second tag team that got put together as a result of this. Dirty Dick Slater and Earl Robert Eaton with Colonel Robert Parker, what a motley crew, defeated Disco Inferno and Alex Wright.
Who got put together.
Yeah, which would end up becoming a great WCW tag team years later.
Boogie Nights,
Yeah, Diamond Dallas Page and the Barbarian, there he is again, defeated Ming and Humorous. Fire and Ice.
Who would be part of the first family, I believe, later on.
Together. Fire and Ice, who also got put together. Scott Flash Norton and they're not even trying this
Okay, did they really randomize, or did they do a gimmick where they said, well, certain actual tag teams will really qualify? That would
no idea.
Make it more believable. I kind of hope they didn't try to convince us that these were truly random. You know what I mean?
Scott Flash Norton and Ice Train defeated Big Bubba Rogers and Stevie Ray. Ric Flair and Randy Savage with Woman and Miss Elizabeth defeated Arn. Holy shit! Ric Flair and Randy Savage defeated Arn Anderson and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And get this. Don't ooh too much, because I said the same thing, and then I looked over to the side. 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
Right. That's why I didn't choose that one.
Damn it. Dirty Dick Slater. They did it as a progressive tournament, I guess. Dick Slater and Earl Robert Eaton defeated VK Wall Street and Jim Duggan. The Public Enemy then defeated Ric Flair and Randy Savage. Diamond Dallas Page and Barbarian defeated Steiner and the Booty Man. And then DDP wins by eliminating the Barbarian. So there's that.
Wow.
They did this as a tournament on the damn show. So you're having not only these urethral lottery tag team matches, but multiples of them.
Oh, God.
On the same show. Yeah.
What are the chances AEW does this?
Probably kind of strong.
I was. It's funny you should mention that, because I was looking up whatever became of the Battle Bowl concept. So it says here on Wikipedia, which is always reliable, other promotions have used a similar concept to the Lethal Lottery Battle Bowl tournament after WCW created the concept in 1991. Chikara held La Loteria Letale in 2008, which adopted the Lethal Lottery portion of the tournament, drawing random names for a tag team tournament. However, in early 2013, and of course it would be this company, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA, if you will, adopted the Lethal Lottery Battle Bowl concept with their first ever Joker's Wild tournament, held as part of their one-night-only pay-per-view series. The Joker's Wild tournament included both the Lethal Lottery portion and the Battle Bowl portion, with the winners being given a cash prize as a reward for winning the tournament.
Wow. Yeah, this is one of those, like, I'm sure Cody, like, has gotten the
Yeah.
trademark on it now.
Right.
Because there's no way this trademark hasn't lapsed. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
has used it in 10 years.
I can just see
easily.
Bruce Pritchard walking into Vince's office. Now, Vince, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're about to lose the trademark to Battle Bowl.
Mm.
God
What's
damn
Battle
it! What the hell's Battle Bowl?
I mean, literally, no one has used it since, 1996. That was the last one. The concept has been loosely utilized, but nobody's called it that.
I think it's ripe for a comeback, to be honest with you.
I bet you there's no way he doesn't have that trademark. Like, I mean, he somehow got Bash at the Beach, right? He got the Match Beyond or whatever. And, I mean, this is totally coming back.
Yeah.
And it's going to be called Battle Bowl. And he also got Lethal Lottery or Urethral Lottery.
Oh, yes.
I think
yes.
for the tournament they should randomize everything,
Mhm.
but give us what we've all been wanting, which is 2 members of the Dark Order against one another.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody's been wanting
And I
that.
mean, the AEW tag team division is so good. Like, everyone is individually so talented that if you mix it up, it's still actually going to produce good matches.
Yeah.
So I could see it kind of working. Like, in WCW, there'd be terrible shit tag teams.
You're so funny, Tim, because you hate the Battle Bowl, but you just said if AEW does it,
It
it
would
will
be
probably
good.
be. Look
Well,
at you on
because-
your mark, self.
Because AEW does everything better. So,
Exactly. Yes.
But the thing of it is,
Except for pay-per-views.
except for pay-per-views that they charge $50 for.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the WCW version of this, though. Like, they had shit tag teams to begin with, and like
Firebreaker, Tit Chip, and Todd Champion.
to break them up and have them team with other shit tag teams is like, that's not going to produce anything good.
Allegedly.
Nature Boy Ric Flair tagging up with Charlie Norris.
But I mean, you take like an SCU and mix them up with Private Party. Okay.
And there's actually some intrigue into seeing some of these teams wrestle each other, like the Young Bucks against each other in a tag match would be kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Or the two Lucha Brothers against each other in a tag match would be kind of interesting.
Mhm.
There's kind of an interest. There's a way to mix that up. I mean, Daniels and Kazarian wrestled each other 1,000 times in TNA, but Scorpio Sky and Kazarian I haven't seen wrestle each other, so that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Is Marco and Jungle Boy still on a team together?
So they're part of a 3-man team with
that might
the
be
Dinosaur
interesting
Man.
too.
Yeah. So, I mean, bottom line is AEW does this. It's great. If WWE were to do this, it would be the worst thing
that anyone's ever done
since COVID-19. I mean, yeah.
I mean, who would want to see Big E Langston get a wrestling push? I mean, come on.
God.
Just kidding.
So,
I want that to happen every day of my life. Every day I wake up in the morning, I say, "Hey, is the day that Big E gets his big push?" Never happened.
I think you can file that next to Cesaro getting a push.
Yeah. You and Nate Milton, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you. I watched Big E on he puts out these videos now during the quarantine, and they bring joy to my life. They just bring me great joy, and it angers me that I can't see this man shine more often on television.
I think he'll get his time.
Hopefully. I enjoy no, you're saying I don't think they need to break up the New Day. The New Day are awesome together, but I think you can still push somebody while they're still in the New Day.
Well, yeah, obviously.
We saw that with Kofi last year, and I think Bigamus has earned his opportunity by virtue of pursuing old single mothers.
Right. And I think he has a Too Cold Scorpio situation going on as well.
Oh, the way he dances, he must.
Yeah, gotta. All right. Any other final thoughts about Battle Bowl?
This was my doing. I accept full responsibility.
It was a good show, though.
But I enjoyed the snap. These were snapshots of periods of WCW that are not remembered well. The end of 1991, the end of 1992, the end of 1993. Periods of WCW that are not remembered as fondly as some of the eras we've looked at before. And like I said, not all the concepts in WCW were winners, to say the least. So I thought it was important that we look at one that was off the beaten path and still find some interesting stuff in it. Some good matches, some solid work in here, some good stories, and to see that there is some good with the bad. And hopefully the next episode we can focus back in on something cool. But I did think this was worth visiting, and I think again, you never know how it's gonna work out until you try it, and they tried it. And I give them credit for thinking outside of the box.
I agree.
Well said. Yeah. It produced a fun podcast to talk about some rather unusual, somewhat unique, as they say, matches. So, you know what? All is forgiven, despite my skepticism and doubting you. I never should have done that, Greg Phillips.
Look at how much growth we're all doing on this show. I like Sting now.
Yep.
Tim likes Battle Bowl now.
I like talking about Battle Bowl.
Yeah, well, close enough.
We're all
Greg
growing.
likes Dustin now.
We're all growing as people.
We are.
And it's very good to know. I've also now become a big fan of Firebreaker Chip.
Well, of course, obviously.
Clearly.
Chip the Firebreaker, as it were. And Chip the breaker of fire.
Oh, yeah.
If we become fans of Ricky Steamboat face promos, then we really will be turning a corner.
I'm low-key a fan of that because I love it. It's so awkward.
We need to have a whole episode dedicated just to each of us selecting a different Ricky Steamboat babyface promo to look at. Which are the only promos he has. He never went heel. Ricky's the best babyface I ever worked with, but he never went heel.
Yep.
I'm so tempted to pick that. I think it's my turn to pick.
Is it?
Is it?
Who picked what was our last show?
It was Diamond Dallas Page.
Which was chosen by me, so you are up next, Jenny.
Yep.
All right. Well, now I want to pick babyface.
Just promos.
I figured you would pick the Blacktop Bully.
Oh God, does he have 3 matches?
I don't know that he does.
You'd
have to extend it into Barry Hole-in-One Darso and some of his other characters.
That's true.
Those matches are hard to find. They're all on WCW Saturday Night.
Good point.
I think I had narrowed it down to 2. And we've talked about one of them a lot tonight, so I don't want to do that again, quite yet, I don't think. Okay. So my choice will be Randy Savage.
Oh,
nice.
Man, we got a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
WCW Randy Savage.
I like where this is going.
I think that we all need some joy in our life right now, and nothing says joy like Randy Savage.
That's
nothing
great
in
call.
Life. Joy like Randy Savage.
Man,
gonna be a good show, a great show. Maybe not an excellent show, but a good one. Yeah.
It will be excellent, I believe.
Yes, it will.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, does anybody have anything they want to plug? Greg, what are you doing these days?
Absolutely.
You're not doing anything.
In your retirement,
I am enjoying the retired life from podcast. It's beautiful. I'm sitting here on the beaches of Maui. I'm sitting. I'm sitting here.
Residence.
My summer residence. I've got a pin that says "Yes, I am a model." It's just wonderful. I mean, I have nothing to promote. I have no gain out of any of this. It's just I've got free time on my hands. And wouldn't you know it, the minute that I stop doing my podcast, we get coronavirus. And now all of us are stuck indoors with nothing to do.
I kind of blame you guys for that.
I do too. I'm pretty sure y'all are the reason.
I know that
was holding back the tide. You guys both had your fingers in the dike. And as soon as you stop doing that podcast, it's just the walls broke. And this is where we are.
I know. I mean, my scientist friends have cautioned me that correlation doesn't mean causation or whatever the hell, but I got to be honest with you. I think it does in this case. Causation equals correlation.
I think so.
Or correlation equals causation, one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. But is it enough? Is curing coronavirus enough to bring me back to regular podcasting? Not right now. I'm still enjoying the retired life. We'll see what becomes of the future.
Well, no pods, but where can people find you on social?
They can find me on Twitter. I am at gphillips8652. They can find me on, well, that's pretty much the only one I probably want to promote. And they can find me probably wandering down their street at night.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not creepy at all. You know you're supposed to be under quarantine, right? So no wandering in the street.
More like guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Alabama, that's right. So
Absolutely. Our lockdown in the state of Alabama is essentially stay inside under no circumstances should you go out unless you want to.
And then just do that.
Do that.
Don't worry about it.
You want to, really. Yeah.
Just live your life.
Set up a hammock on campus and just hang out with like 80 of your friends. Good idea.
Yeah.
Just do it today.
Great. Sounds good. Well, what about you, Tim? I know you got pods.
Ooh, I guess I do have pods. Well, I mean, I am quarantining currently in my summer residence of the ramshackle motel in a landlocked Midwestern state, somewhere in the town of Schitt's Creek. Enjoying that for what it's worth. But podcast-wise, we have on this very feed, the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, PTB NXT, that you and I, Jenny, do together with our friend Jacob Williams. He's
Jambalaya Jake.
Jambalaya Jake. He's sort of the Greg Phillips of NXT, right? So the third man, common denominator there. You and I talking wrestling, talking 2014 NXT, the network era of NXT. It's a fairly new show, only started this year. We're like 3 episodes in. We've got another episode coming chronicling the first, not takeover, but arrival, NXT arrival. So before there was takeover, there was this event, the first live event on the then burgeoning WWE network.
Very good show, too.
Yeah, very entertaining show. We enjoyed it a great deal. Spoiler alert there. But there is a lot to get into that podcast, about as long as the show itself, if not longer. So do check it out. It's not a live watch. We're just very verbose. Also, Jenny, on your podcast network, the Jenny Position. Subscribe to it today on your favorite podcatcher app. Speaking of things we're talking about, we do Talk'n Pop, and we did a live episode of Talk'n Pop this month where we had some very fun guests. That was a Podbean live experience. Yeah.
Talk'n Pop live,
look,
baby.
As Scott Keith would say, I enjoy drinking Jim Beam. That was such an unnecessary slam. Why did I do that?
You popped Greg hard.
Who does not drink Jim Beam or Bean, but anyway.
He deserved it, damn it.
We did a live episode, is my point, of Talk'n Pop, with some special guests calling in. We also had a chat with comments we were responding to the whole way. Very lively show. Do check it out on the Jenny Position. Of course, the aforementioned The Journey Through Infinity. Jenny and I, with Justin Rosero and Scott Criscolo, just wrapped up The Avengers from 2012. We've got Iron Man 3 coming up. Look for that as well. Man, Twitter, social media, find me. I am at Cyke68, CYKE68 on your Twitter machine. I think that's going to do it. Whew.
Would you guys be willing to do with me a new wrestling podcast called Talk'n Mr. McMahon, where it's entirely dedicated to the Mr. McMahon character?
Yes.
Certainly.
Yep.
And the great Mr. McMahon matches.
Yes, but instead of instead of selecting matches, we would just select different long promos from Mr. McMahon
Oh,
because
Yeah.
they're all pretty amazing. I've discovered even end of era Mr. McMahon was pretty amazing in some of his braggadocio, as he might
Yeah.
say.
Oh man.
Well, somebody's definitely stealing that idea.
As they should. I
Yeah.
recommend it.
Mhm.
Remember, all of us, every person here, every person listening, every person on this show right now, was once, if ever so briefly, a WWE employee.
Oh, right.
Because Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, hired us all and then fired us all
Yes.
because we deserved to be fired.
I didn't even get a W-9 that year from that
No,
son
I
of a
didn't either.
bitch.
What a prick.
Forced us to commit tax fraud as well. God.
All right. Well, Tim named a bunch of my shows.
Tried to help you out there a little bit.
And otherwise, you can find an episode of Bianca's First Time on my feed. It is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Really fun watch there. Also, Freak Out Drive-In. The last one I did was The Lost Boys with Rob Kindler. And I also did one that was sort of a non-my show or PTPN show. I was a guest on a show called Hanging with the D. We were talking about
Sounds like
Empire
my kind of show.
I know. We were talking about Empire Records because recently it was Rex Manning Day, and so that was a nice chat with him. So you can find his feed, and he does a lot of like movies, pop culture stuff. Fun listen there. And here on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, there's an episode of Jenny and the Gems. We did March to WrestleMania 9, and our next episode will be March to WrestleMania 10. So looking forward to recording that as well. On Twitter, I'm at Jenny Position, and the Facebook page is the Jenny Position. And I think that's it. That should be enough. I enjoyed it, you guys. Enjoyed the Battle Bowls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Despite myself.
I felt my battle bowls drop today as a result of
Oh.
watching these matches. So
All right, stay tuned next time, Randy Savage.
nonetheless, that notwithstanding, quite frankly. So I've been running around. I've been wandering around my apartment for the last 2 days, shouting out. For some reason, this one Outcast song has been in my head because of a Tiger King meme.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
So I've been walking around my apartment going, Caroline, yeah, she's the reason for the word bitch. Bitch. And I've just been doing that randomly. My neighbors must think I'm an insane white man, which is, I guess, halfway true, but which half? That's the question. But I've been doing
Definitely
that.
white.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. But the sanity, well, yeah, that's that too. Probably entirely true.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I've been walking around singing that song for 2
It
days.
makes me, you know what? It makes me feel really good. It makes me feel a lot better about my own life that you walk around your empty living space uttering random things to yourself.
all the time.
Because that's all I do, literally all day. I'll be in the middle doing laundry. Like today, I was washing clothes, and all of a sudden, I had to stop myself. I didn't say I'm a badass bear, but as non sequiturs go, it was quite up there. I went, well, fuck you, shit dick, to no one and for no reason. And I kept saying it. After I said it, I kind of cracked myself up, and I just kept saying it.
I love that so much.
Go to the kitchen, wash my hands. Fuck you, shit dick. And I said it like that in a weird voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the only way to do things. I find.
Tiger King has infected us worse than corona.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure it's a Tiger King.
It is. You're accessing your like inner like redneck. And
I definitely said
Guess
it.
what, motherfucker? Which could be either the Tiger King or Jim Cornette. Motherfucker, if I order a fucking Whopper, I want a fucking Whopper, motherfucker.
Yeah, I guess I kind of said it in a Joe Exotic voice, but like I said, it wasn't like a line. Usually, if I'm doing a line from that show, it's just something that stuck with me, but that one was like, I have no idea where it came from. So,
Seems
You're
like
a
something.
fucking bitch basket. Like that Kenny Omega coming out here with his overacting motherfucker.